My name is Rodgers. I'm a 9-year Marine Corps veteran. I currently serve on the San Antonio Police Department on the Violent Crimes Task Force, and I'm a tactical games athlete. In the Marine Corps, I served 9 years. I was a combat engineer, so dealt with explosives, construction, lane clearing, mine sweeping, stuff of that nature. I also served as a chief instructor for the corporal's course, the first line of leadership on the police department. Again, the first 2 years of my time in the police department, I patrolled the south side. I was pretty proactive on patrol. During that time, I kind of transitioned to the street crimes unit, or the Violent Crimes Task Force, where I've currently been serving for the last year. The biggest obstacle I think I've overcome in life is back in July of 2021, I was involved in an officer-involved shooting. It was a hostage situation where the suspect had taken his estranged wife and 3 kids hostage, was threatening to kill himself and his wife. During that incident, the guy came out with a baby as a shield, went back in. The wife came out, went back in. There's a lot of ups and downs during the incident. Towards the end of that incident, the suspect came out with a shotgun, pointed it at my buddies down on the ground, where me and 2 other officers opened fire and ended up shooting him. Standard protocol for the police department is you get put on desk duty through the duration of that investigation. During that time, I found myself getting real negative. Getting down, real pessimistic and everything. I started getting bitter, and my partner, who was also involved in a separate officer-involved shooting, was also on admin duty. So we would vent to one another, and not negativity towards each other, but just kind of perpetuating the negativity of this whole situation. It was really unhealthy for both of us. And that kind of leads into the biggest obstacle being that partner. I got a call one night that he had sent out a mass text message to a bunch of our friends, basically, telling them that he loved them and that he was sorry. And you could tell from the context of that message that he wasn't in the right state of mind, and that he was probably going to end his life. So we all converged on his house, and I think seeing my best friend, in that state of mind, with the gun to his head, and I can still imagine the muscles flexing with his finger on the trigger. It's probably one of the darkest times that I can have ever been through. That obstacle really affected me. It pushed me to look outside of what I was currently doing at the time. And in that struggle, I found the tactical games. The tactical games is it's a hybrid between CrossFit type working out implements, as well as 2-gun competition shooting with rifle and pistol. It gave me something to pursue. It gave me something to train for. I was introduced by another good friend of mine and one of my mentors. When he introduced me, I've always taken fitness very serious, and I've loved shooting ever since I joined the Marine Corps. And when I found the tactical games, it put both of those things together. After I was introduced to the tactical games, about 2 weeks later, I drove all the way to Mississippi. I bought my entry fee on site that morning and was competing that afternoon. And that experience changed my life. It gave me something to push for, a mission to push towards, a reason outside of my occupation, something again to train for. Throughout the training and everything, my children are there, and they see me. They're running beside me. They're climbing over obstacles with me. They're on the rifle range when I'm shooting. And them, what I think is important about it is them seeing me as a good role model, seeing me pursuing something that makes me happy, something that pushes myself. So they see that grit, they see the dad, going through and, working for something other than himself. And that's kind of what the tactical games did for me. The next 1 to 3 years, a goal of mine is to continue to pursue, my experiences in the tactical games. I love the community. I want to be a part of it. I would love to get more veterans and first responders involved in the tactical games, because I know a lot of us are going through some of these struggles similar to what I went through. And I think putting yourself aside and kind of, similar to the military, some of those struggles, even though it kind of sucked at the time, I really feel like afterwards, when you look back on it, going through that, that really crappy time, but completing it, feeling that sense of satisfaction, accomplishment, and success. If I could perpetuate that on all the other veterans that are kind of like quietly dealing with their own things, hopefully they don't get to that point where they think the only option, is, suicide or ending their life or drinking the problems away, or, whatever the case is. So one of my goals is obviously to try to help out my brothers and sisters.